All right, y'all, what are we talking about today? I had a viewer request, friend request from Mike Allen. He has a Mark 7 and he's contemplating, messing with speakers, going down the speaker tone rabbit hole, right? So I think if I remember correctly right now, he's got a C90 in his combo and then a Mesa 2x12 with V30s. And I keep telling him, you got to get yourself a T75 and then throw it in that 2x12 so that you have the mix of the T75 and the V30, which in my opinion is one of the best two speaker mixes that you can get out there, right? So the easiest way for me to demonstrate that is my Bogner Uberkab, which you see I have a stack here. So we're going to be pulling right off of the bottom cabinet, which is an original from 2001 with 2001 V30s and 2001 T75s. Both of which are pretty highly sought after if you watch all of the super deep dive, guitar speaker nerd stuff, right? And there's probably a good reason. They sound pretty darn good. This is one of the best cabinets I have personally. And if I had to choose one cabinet, which I think I have 8 4x12 cabinets currently, I would choose the Uberkab. Why? Because that mix of the V30 and T75 just give a very, very good overall sound and allow you to pretty much play in any type of genre that you want, right? You want super metal, you can do that. You want 80s metal, you can do that. You want blues tones, you can do that, right? You can pretty much get anything you want out of that combination of speakers. And, for those like myself that are Metallica fans, you can very easily get the early Metallica stuff. You can easily get kind of the mid Metallica stuff all the way up to the modern Metallica stuff because they used both of those speakers quite a bit in a lot of their different albums, on tours, etc., etc. And the T75 sounds fairly similar to, let's say, the 65s. V30 is kind of its own thing. Not a ton of speakers out there sound like it. But without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some auto straight from the mics, and then I'm going to do some in-the-room audio. I have a loop that I recorded, and this was recorded with my Parker Fly, because I keep telling Mike, you got to get a Parker Fly, man. These things are badass. It's kind of like this is the Petrucci Majesty before the Majesty, right? And they're fantastic guitars. So anyway, it has a little bit lower of an output, so I had to turn the presence up a little bit more than I had it for when I play through my EMGs, but that brought everything right back. So I'm kind of blabbing at this point. Let's get this thing started. I'm going to get you plugged in. Hopefully I don't mess this up. So we're going to hear, first we're going to hear off of the cabinet with mics, and then I'll unplug it so you can hear an in the room so you can kind of get a sense of how it sounds. And this is crazy loud, so actually let me grab my freaking headphone things because, yeah, don't want to kill my hearing. So that is on the mic. I haven't listened back to it yet at this point, so you guys are going to hear hopefully what I heard in the room. But mics are always tough, right? Because, a millimeter of placement makes a big difference. And that's why I'm going to do the same thing, but with the in-the-room audio. Of course, the iPhone will compress the sound a little bit, so it'll sound a little different. And of course, you lose a lot of the meatiness because it just can't capture those frequencies on the little tiny phone mic, right? But at least it'll give you kind of compare and contrast between the two. So let me get my headphones back on, because yeah, I think we're probably at about 105 decibels right now. The volume, master volume, is about 1230. So here we go. Crazy with the riffs, right? I was trying to show kind of the openness of the tones and how it would sound, you know, when you've got a chord going and you hit some individual notes. So you still get a ton of note clarity, and you get this through the other speakers as well. But I think if you're just going through V30s, you're not going to get that note separation quite as much as if you have a mix of the T75s. Just what I've experienced. Not everybody will probably have the same experience, but that's what I'm seeing, that's what I'm hearing in the room. I'm hearing a pretty good bit of note clarity when going from, you know, a chord and then hitting some individual notes in there, right? I think that's really all I got for this one. But if you like my content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Comments, guys, I love the comments. Let's have a conversation. What are your experiences with, you know, X patterns and stuff like this? So one of my other favorites is V30 and K100 or K85. You know, they're both very good speakers, but that's a very good mix as well. Or I like blending the EVM12L with the C90 on top. You know, Boogie did that in a lot of their cabinets, and there's a good reason why. It sounds phenomenal, right? Right here next to me is my two satellites sitting on an EVM12L Theo cabinet, and both of those have C90s in them, and they sound absolutely incredible when you mix it with the EVM12L. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no one perfect speaker. You know, there's speakers for everybody, right? But when you blend them, you get a really good combination of both, because they kind of fill in where some frequencies are missing, and they'll tone each other down a little bit. So V30 for me, it has this weird high end, and especially when you're playing at loud volume, it has, I've heard people call it cone cry, and it just sounds like the cone has this weird scratchy, you know, and it doesn't sound like that, but that's my best representation of it. But those of you that have played loud, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The T75 doesn't have that. You can play at crazy volumes and it sounds really good, and the other speakers too. But the T75, when you mix it with the V30, it seems like it probably doesn't take it away, but maybe some of the frequencies counteract the frequencies that you're hearing from that cone cry. So let me know what you think down in the comments, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.